Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. Thank you for joining me this morning. I'm Angie Baker. I'm the Training and Outreach Specialist here at MIBOR, and just wanted to gather everyone that was available together to kind of go over this policy change that's coming within the BLC pretty shortly. We've been out talking about this. There were some communications sent out about it, but sometimes it's nice to just have a walkthrough so that you can gather the full information, and if you have questions, then I'll provide some time at the end where you can ask those questions and we can go through it. So let me go through some of the why before we start into what everything is going to look like once this policy change rolls out. The MIBOR mission and goals include empowering members and strengthening the marketplace in Central Indiana through collaboration, advocacy, professionalism, education, and innovation. And we really want to key in on that mission with 5 specific goals: ensuring market efficiency, strengthening our communities, promoting professionalism, and preserving our member relevancy in the transactions, and of course for you to be the definitive source of information that you provide to your clients. To do that, we do an annual member survey that hopefully many of you have participated in, but one of the metrics that really jumped out at us in 2017, kind of rose to the top of our radar, was the question of how you would rate the quality of the BLC listing service on accuracy of listing information. And we've been asking this question since the year 2000. Had some high years, some low years, but really where we've traditionally landed is right around the 50% mark. Right about 50% of our membership says it's excellent or very good. And for us as your MIBOR staff, that's really unacceptable. We expect those numbers to be much higher for the primary tool that you use to do your business every day. So to that end, we've done some evaluation on what are the problems, how can we make this better, and in conjunction with that, we also want to look at the Realtor Code of Ethics, and specifically Article 12 indicates that realtors shall be honest and truthful in their real estate communications and shall present a true picture in their advertising, marketing, and other representations. And again, that's the Realtor Code of Ethics, Article 12. It's important for both sides of the transaction. For your sellers, they expect for their listings to be accurately delivered to as many buyers as possible when they're working with a BLC member. For the buyers, they expect for listing information to be readily available when they're searching not only within their realtor provided tools, but also on those third-party portals that have become oh so popular over the last several years. The standard of the marketplace has changed. It used to be that you had an opportunity often to meet with your clients prior to them starting their search for a home, and now they're starting their search online prior to ever meeting with a realtor. So the conversation has sort of changed. We did some research, and of course one of the #1 complaints we got was this active with contingency status has become less and less useful and more problematic as time has gone on. So we did some research through 2017. I should have had that on this slide, but I don't. Sorry for that. But this is the metrics over the year 2017, month-by-month closings. The percentage of listings that went directly from either active or that active with contingency status straight to sold is nearing 25% over most months. So we're between 22 and 24% of total listings closed month over month are never hitting pending status. That causes several problems. One is buyers aren't really sure what that active with contingency status means. And secondly, just as buyers' agents trying to schedule showings and trying to get a real handle on what is the true availability of that listing has become problematic. So to that end, our BLC committee policy and board of directors has approved a status policy change coming in 2018, Q2. So this will be effective April 2nd officially, that the active with contingency status is going to be retired from the BLC listing service. So rather than changing the status of a listing to active with contingency, every listing that has a fully executed purchase agreement will be placed in the pending status, and an additional field called continue to show will be placed on the change to pending form. So under continue to show, you'll mark yes or no. And I have a screenshot here later so you can see what that will look like. So no more active with contingency, but instead pending, and you can choose to continue to show it yes or no. We do understand, though, that sometimes there are circumstances where a listing can't immediately be placed in the pending status when you have an accepted offer. And really, those two circumstances are when you have a first right of refusal. That's a special disclosure that allows you to keep the listing in active status, but we do need to disclose that there's an accepted offer. So currently, the system works this way, where if you have a first right of refusal, you leave the listing in active status and you would set a first right of refusal disclosure on that listing. So really the process for that will not change. It's just the name of the link that's going to change on that form. And again, I can show that to you. The other circumstance is when you have a corporate seller, REOs, relocation properties, where sometimes it takes a little bit longer for the paperwork to make its way to the listing agent once a purchase agreement has been accepted. So in that circumstance, you can remain in active status for that listing and then disclose that you're awaiting corporate signatures is what the disclosure will be called. And so that'll clearly, put all of our users on notice, hey, there is an accepted offer, but we're just waiting for all of that paperwork to be delivered. As far as the timing of when statuses need to be updated in the system, that rule will not change. Listings with an accepted offer must be updated within 2 business days of the contract acceptance, and that's the way the rule is currently, and that will not change. So regardless of any conditions or contingencies within that contract, the status needs to be updated within that 2 business days. Right. So this is what it will look like on the display itself when there is a listing that's pended and marked continue to show yes in the affirmative. Then when you look that listing up in the BLC, it'll show the status as pending, but right underneath that, it'll say continue to show. So again, that just puts everybody in the BLC on notice that there's that ability to still continue to show that property if they so desire. If it has a first right of refusal or that you're awaiting corporate signatures, it'll say active as the status, and underneath it, it'll say first right of refusal or awaiting corporate signatures. So that'll be spelled out so that anybody looking that listing up within the BLC will see that status disclosure. Now, on third-party portals, as in MIBOR.com, Realtor.com, Zillow Group, which includes Trulia, Homes.com, any of those portals, the clients looking at that listing will see just the status. They're not going to necessarily see that status disclosure. So the other thing that I wanted to show you was within the system what it's going to look like. So I'm going to pull up our staging site. This is what I call our sandbox. This is where we get to test all of this information out that we're putting together. So when you go into the listing service and you're going to change a listing, you'll go to the Add Edit tab just like you normally do. But on the Modify Listing page, you'll see that the links here are different than some of the links that exist in the system now. You'll notice the lack of any change to active with contingency link. So you'll have active, you'll have your status disclosure links, which I'll get to in a second, but you'll also have your change to pending. So if I were to change this listing to pending, you'll see your normal fields that you're used to, your pending date, your estimated close, but then you'll have this continue to show field here where you can choose yes or no. And if you choose yes, it'll actually say the words continue to show. If you say no, it'll just say pending. There won't be any additional verbiage there. The other option, again, that's changing is this manage status disclosure. So currently, I don't know that I have it pulled up, but currently in the system, this is the live system, so I'm kind of doing a little switch here. Currently it says set to first right of refusal. That'll change to say manage status disclosures because we're adding one. So we wanted to make it sort of all-inclusive. So if I manage status disclosures, I'll get to choose either that awaiting corporate signature or adding a first right of refusal. So you'll get to choose that, and then all of the other information will work just like it does now. Okay. Now, on overnight between April 1st and April 2nd, listings that are in that active with contingency status will be converted to pending continue to show, so that keeps things nice and clean in line with our rules as they stand now. And that way that minimizes the work that our agents have to do to convert those listings. So we're going to take care of that. We're also working with CSS and any of our other RETS vendors so that that system is as straightforward as possible. And again, we'll just prevent you having to do any of the heavy lifting on that end of making any listing changes. The only thing that could require some work on the part of the agents is any searches that include both active listings and active with contingency listings. Obviously, come April 2nd, there won't be any active with contingency listings. So if that's something that you want to include for your buyers, you want to include those pending listings that are still available to show, then of course we're going to adjust on the searching side the capability, and I can show that to you as well, the capability to search by both active, let me just pull one up here, by both active and pendings that are available to show. So I can set up my search so it's active and pending, and I want to grab all of those that are available to show. So you'll still be able to search using that same capability that you had before, but it should streamline that process so that your clients are seeing the true availability of those listings and whether or not they can get into them. So that's the gist of it. I know it's pretty simplistic once you see it on screen, but I know it's also a big cultural change in how the listings have been handled traditionally through the system. So I just wanted to kind of walk everybody through that and make sure you're comfortable with how the process will work. All of the system changes as far as field placement and page updates should all be taken care of. We're still working with CoreLogic to see how far in advance we can convert any data that needs to be converted. And then the kind of the last piece of the puzzle is on the statistics, and specifically talking about days on market. So days on market has been a little bit of a trick to try to report out, because days on market actually stops at the point when the listing is changed to pending. So for those listings that are left in that active with contingency status for an extended period of time, the days on market continues to count until the point that the listing is changed to pending. So with all of the listings now being changed to pending, the days on market is going to tighten up, and it's actually going to cause a little bit of blip in our statistics, which is why we wanted to make this policy change at a natural break in the calendar. So for us, it's Q2. It's going to look like there's a little bit of an increase in the pace of the market just briefly, and then as time goes on, everything will kind of catch up and will normalize. But the other thing that's going to happen is we're going to add an additional statistic or count into the system that will be a field that we'll add to the single line display. That'll probably be called days to contract. And what that will allow you to do is if you're tracking the month of April 2018 versus the month of April 2017, and you're looking at that days on market pace, the days to contract will look backward in time at either the date that it was changed to a contingency or the date it was changed to pending, to try to give you a better snapshot, a better true apples to apples comparison of that days that it took from the listing becoming active to actually getting a contract on it. So again, over time, as you go forward, that'll fix itself, but we just wanted to make sure that we weren't skewing your metrics on the back end. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me directly, and otherwise, have a wonderful week, and thanks for joining me on this Monday morning. Take care.